And notice, you know this, when you're on a good team and it's jiving, it is like, hey, I'm done with my stuff. Let me help you with your stuff, because we all have that same, we're going in the same direction and we want to be the best.
Hey, welcome to 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. We're a father-son leadership podcast where we talk with other lifelong learners about making an impact and solving big problems. As you do, and folks, if you got a podcast and you don't listen to yourself or watch yourself, you ain't going to get better. So I was watching myself the other day because by the way, I love our intro. Kudos to Camden for putting the video together, and Bobby Goff for recording an original score. I think that's what you're supposed to call it, right? When it's fancy TV.
Oh yeah, waiting on that Oscar or Emmy or whatever.
Well, we're going for the Emmys right here for best original score of a father-son leadership podcast. I'm pretty sure we're going to win it. But anyway, folks, the camera's kind of up here. And I was watching myself because when I do the intro, because I don't read it, it's all natural, right, Kim?
Yes, sir.
I look up at the camera because I want to make eye contact. But then I watched myself, and it looks like I'm doing this, like looking up at the ceiling. And I was like, so today, I kind of look straight ahead, not at the camera. See, the camera's there. I look more straight ahead. And it's just one of those weird computer things. I know they got one of these. They got these ones that drop down in the screen.
Oh, yeah. Too expensive.
Yeah, they ain't worth it. I thought about, and our guest, Marc Fitzwater, brother from the regiment, another original. It's like we're on a string hitting them.
Yes, sir.
We're on an original string. I was thinking there, Fitz, about taking some 550 cord and hanging my camera from up above in the ceiling. I don't know. Have you hung anything from the ceiling in that fancy office you got?
No, not a bit. If I did, my wife would kill me.
Well, you know what it made me flashback to? When I was a kid, I was, folks, you'll have to check. Those of Camden's generation will have to check their history book. I built model airplanes, airplane glue. I didn't sniff it. I used it. And I would hang my airplanes from the ceiling because they look pretty cool hanging up there like that, and dogfight and stuff like that.
You didn't use 550 cord for that, though.
No, I used, I should have used fishing line. Never thought about that. I just got.
Oh, yeah. It looks nice and clear. Looks like they're really flying.
No, I got thread out of Other Mama's sewing drawer is what I did. So, yeah, next time I hang a model airplane from the ceiling, I'll have to use fishing line, some of that.
There you go.
3-pound test stuff. So that's those problem solving things that we got to do here. So, Mark,
check. Move on. We're done.
Well, folks, that about wrap it up for today.
All right, so Mark. Fishing line. Cool. Got it.
Yeah,
cool. Got it.
When you're hanging model airplanes from the ceiling, folks, use fishing line. I mean, you can get some pretty fine stuff that's really strong. If you got one of them big B-17 Flying Fortress models like I did. Because you don't want it to fall down and crash and literally crash and burn, which happened. And thumbtacks will come out of the ceiling.
No kidding.
So, well, and what I was trying to get to, now that I've lost my complete train of thought in the transition segue again, is what the heck? I mean, because he's an original, he can handle any question. And we already went through this previously with our other brother, Nathan Wheeler, who, by the way, was over here having a cigar with me not too long ago. And what the hell were you thinking when you decided to start up your own training and consulting company instead of just doing the, I'm going to go work for Khaki, Cubic, blah, blah, Acme bricks, whatever.
It's actually a very funny story. So I'm not an original, and Otis, don't kick me off the show. But I actually grew up in 7th Group. So spent my ODA time, and 7th Group made the move from Fort Bragg down to Eglin Air Force Base. Did 3 trips to Afghanistan with them. We started our down south trip, and then I got back from El Salvador in like early November, turn and burn to go to Colombia in that following January. And my wife, who God bless her, was like, "Hey, Mark, for the last 3 years, you've been at home a total of 8 months." I said, we had 2 girls at the time. I said, message received. And so during my trip to Colombia,
the problem is she's keeping count too.
Oh yeah, exactly. Man, she's been such great through my career. And then, so with that said, during my time in Colombia, they said, "Hey, do you want to come to Colorado and do your staff time?" I was like, "Okay, yes, I'll take a knee." I was working on Peterson. And during that time, if you don't know me, I'm an energetic individual. I didn't know what to do with my hands. And so I went back to school to get my master's degree, and I started a company. The original purpose of starting a company as well, hopefully one day when I go back to 7th Group, at the time, I'll be a team sergeant. I can't be no fat staff weenie coming back and still don't have my skills. So I started the company. To keep up on my skills for when I go back to a team. And then what I found is the way we teach, what we're teaching really resonates and impacts the individual. So I finished my staff time up. My wife wants to go to nursing school. I said, absolutely. So we make the group swap. Thank you for 10th Group for having me. So I came back, come to 10th
You're welcome.
Group. Yeah.
I speak for the group, just so you know.
So I became a Jedburgh team sergeant, but I kept the company. And then as I'm coming to retire, I retire at the end of the month. We've really made great impact, and I love it. I love how it keeps me mentally engaged. It's a competition, so I like to compete. Not just the impact we're having on individuals, but like the guys that are coming and working with me, the other originals that are coming to work with me, they love it. And so that's really the why my company has really shifted from back in 2016 when I started it to now. And so, yeah, I work more hours now other than deployment that I did in the Army. And I love the challenge. I love the challenge of being a company, of building a successful company is really what it comes down to.
There's one piece there I want to kind of jump on just because I find it interesting. And again, I'm the civilian here. I'm not one of the originals like you two, or transfer original, whatever you'd want to call it, Mark. But I'm curious, we talk about that. We had a whole podcast episode about, Green Beret leadership. We have our leadership program named after it, all that kind of stuff. Mark, what would you say is the percentage difference between the 2 groups you were in, like 7th to 10th? Like, is it just about all the same, and it's just these, just different guys, different mission? What kind of differences are we talking about on that level there?
I am of the opinion that a Green Beret is a Green Beret is a Green Beret, and that it doesn't. No, I'm a 7th. Each group has their certain ways that they do things, but it's really funny. Every time I would go to school and all the special forces would come together, I always hung out with 10th Group guys for some reason. And I actually honestly think because of the same type of mission, just in different areas. 10th Group guys, they're doing all their training stuff in Europe. As you can see, the fruits of that with our Ukrainian SOF right now. Well, 7th Group, we did the Central and South America especially with Colombia. And we saw the fruits of 30 years of training those when they over the spark. So definitely different personalities. Not to throw my 1st Group guys under the bus, but they're definitely different than us 7th Group and 10th Group guys. But I would say overall, you can put a Green Beret in any situation, give him, hey, this is your mission, and they'll figure it out. And I think that's that's the big thing. But other than this little bit of culture differences that I've seen working in two different groups, a Green Beret is a Green Beret is a Green Beret to me. And that's really what I think is just, of course I come to the 10th group, I get the 7th group jokes, and I'm like, well, of course, none of this stuff happens in Europe either, right? So, but no, I have actually loved. I'm saying, I have been very, very blessed in my career to have done at least from the enlisted side, the whole gamut of special forces, from leading Afghans into combat all the way through working at an embassy and everything in between. So I've been really blessed in my career.
I think what was interesting there is, we talked about it before, Dad. One of the things you pointed to that makes, Green Beret so special, your time with 10th Group, was you talked about how it's like everyone there is that kind of similar level of badass leader, different, you got your specialties, but there's still this, like, everyone's at that really high level, and that feeds off each other. The interesting thing with what you're saying there, Mark, is how that's kind of the floor for the whole operation, for all these different folks. And so I'd almost want to kind of dive in on that a little bit with the leadership example. If you're talking about developing talent, it's not necessarily get the great talent, put them all together, they'll become even better. But there's also the training component there, which, Dad, you and I were joking about this last year. I think we tend to gloss over that because it can kind of be weird story time to go, what was it like in Q course and those kind of things. But there's a value there. I'd love to throw that back over to you, Mark, to talk about what you think it was that helped to set that floor that, a Green Beret is a Green Beret type of thing.
I think there is, especially as a Green Beret, there is a standard as individually that you want to maintain in support of your team, and whether you're the new guy on the team or all the way up to team sergeant. Like, I think from the enlisted side, the big thing is I want to make sure, one, I'm not the weak link on my team, so you're always working hard. And secondly, is that it's not about self, it's about the team. And Otis, this, when you're on a good team and it's jiving, it is like, hey, I'm done with my stuff, let me help you with your stuff, because we all have that same, we're going in the same direction, and we want to be the best. Like my ODA in 7th group, ODA 7212, we wanted to be the best, not just in the company, but the battalion, the group, the regiment, and we took pride in what we did in that. And, I was very lucky that I had an amazing ODA. And then when I came over to 10th group, I was on the Jedburgh teams, which is a 3-man team, that mentality is still there. That mentality is still there. And so the drive to succeed, I think, is what all of us want to have, and want our team to succeed. And then when our team succeeds, obviously you individually, you succeed as well. I've just been very blessed to have been on really, really good teams in my career, that we didn't have toxic leadership or anything like that. And so it was just, I loved going to work every day, honestly.
What do you think, because one of the things that popped in my mind, and, I've thought about this many times when you start to talk about the 30 years in Colombia and the development of the Ukrainian special forces, and then you can take it even deeper into, from my era, the development of the Polish special forces, the GROM, and it's the long game. And because you've already been in business for, I wasn't doing the math, you said some numbers, but I forgot. What's something that being a Green Beret, playing that long game in Colombia and even in Jedburgh is very much a long game mission. What's some elements of that are helping you continue developing and launching your business?
I think, and also being the quiet professional, and what I mean by that is being humble enough and having the willingness to learn. Because we talk about the Colombia piece, the Ukrainian piece, is that when you go to a team or you go to a place for the first time, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're learning from the guys that have been there, 2, 3, 4 times. So you take those lessons learned, and try to expound upon it. Make it better than you left it. That is really transferred over as an entrepreneur. Is do I believe our product, our service, our training that we do is some of the best in business? Absolutely. But on the business side of things, I don't know what I don't know. So I have been very fortunate enough to have some really great mentors. I have reached out to a lot of people. Hey, how do you do this spreadsheet? What is an ROI? Like really simple stuff, because every industry has a language, business does too. And I've had a lot of people over the last 8 years really set me down and help set a good foundation to get to this point right now. Because up until now, it's been a side business. Now that I'm retiring, I both feet all in. But we bought 160 acres. We're doing this thing, and so the willingness to continue to learn, to get better, to meet mission. I think that's transferred over from my time in SF to becoming an entrepreneur, and the willingness to figure it out. I have a good friend of mine. He runs another podcast out of 7th Group, and I was watching it, and he said, and I believe it, and Otis, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the Green Beret's superpower is the ability to figure it out. And that's why you can drop a Green Beret anywhere in the world, and they will figure it out. And so that is, and I've been doing a lot of figuring out the last 7 months, but I think those are the main things that have helped me from my time in SF to as in launching, full-time I68.
I would love if we could dive in a bit of balancing that long game with still dealing with some of the, short-term pain. We don't want to just get so caught in the short term that we forget about the long game, of course. But at the same time, if you're in pain, if you're dealing with something right now, especially, you talk about consulting, going into a business, and they're like, hey, Mark, that's great. I love your vision for 10 years. But it's like, they shut off our lights last week. It's like, I need something now. Like there's this very, very real balance there. Could you talk some, Mark, about how you kind of square those two?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been going through a lot of short-term pain because I'll give you a tangible example. So we bought the 160 acres. The long-term vision is to build the most premier training center in Colorado. I say I want to build a training center that every SF guy wants to train on. Well, for the last 7 months, I've been walking in the dark with the process of going through all the codes and stuff with the county. And that has been extremely painful and frustrating. The El Paso, it has nothing to do with El Paso County Planning Commission, absolutely professional. They've wanted to help. But, I thought being in the military, I knew bureaucracy. Whew, I didn't. And it's okay. It is what it is. And so, yeah. And the thing is, and it's real, like I'm self-funding this thing. And so, getting our first ranges on, there is a deadline or I'm going to run out of money. It's just the truth. But we're figuring it out. And I'm not worried a bit. I'm stressed, but I'm not worried. One, God's always provided and he'll always continue to provide. And two, because we've built a good foundation over the last 8 years with our graduates, the I68 family, man, they've just been so supportive of this thing. They support our events. They take continued courses. And so every time I'm like, hey, I might not be able to make mortgage, something happens where there it is. Here's the finances to get to the next month or the next 2 months. And so, yes, those short-term pains is one, keep grinding, coming on podcasts like yours that, hey, here's who we are. Because up until now, I haven't really been exposing myself or what I68 is because I was operational, and so coming out of my comfort zone to get the word out about I68 has been a big thing, helping manage those short-term obstacles, so to speak.
I'm really I love your phrase, stress but not worried. I want you to unpack that for our listeners, because I think there's a lot of bits and pieces of that, and I'll caveat it with, no, I'm not going to go there yet. We'll see how you answer this to see whether or not I need to throw in a caveat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, Dad, as he gets a sip of water, you made me think it's like, yeah, that's just like the Jason Criddle. If it's like, I'm angry, but I'm not negative. It's like, all right, well, we got to break that down a little bit, because those sound like they're at odds with each other.
Well, it's come through a lot of pain for me, the stress but not worried piece, because I will say, going through the retirement transition, and then with this property, things are not going. I was very, very worried. And for me personally, it is taking my faith that God is going to provide. Because every time I would get worried and stressed out and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Man, a little sprinkle of opportunity here, an opportunity there. And until I realized and took a breath and prayed and said, look, He's provided every single time. And if I truly believe it, and I just say it, it's going to be okay. Might not be on Mark's time or whatever, but it's going to be okay. But on the stress piece, I still got stuff to do. I just can't, I can't just, and so that stress provides the motivation, and I think more importantly, the discipline to do the things that I need to do from a business side, and that stress pushes that way. It's good stress. It's not bad. Not all stress. All stress is not bad stress. It's just stress. It is. We'll just figure it out and move on. So it helps me with the discipline of one, doing what I need as a business owner in order to bring in more business, so we can have an impact. Because that's the point of this whole thing. Do I love to shoot guns? 100%. But because of the feedback we're getting from our graduates, we're doing something important. I truly believe that. We're having impact in individuals and businesses' lives with what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it. So, yeah, the stress is a good thing that pushes me to continue to do the things that, normally I don't want to do, like the budget or a spreadsheet or whatever it is. Sometimes going to PT, I say, hey, come train with a bunch of former Green Berets. Well, Green Berets, we're supposed to be in shape. So I need, as the lead of I68, I need to be in shape, just for my own health, but also for what our brand is. So hope that answered your question.
Yeah. And I'm just going to play on that a little bit because, I'm a faith-based guy myself. However, I also want to say that the lesson doesn't lie in kneeling down by your bed with your hands folded and praying and hoping that that check falls out of the ceiling or through the lightning bolt of the Lord, you get money in your bank account. It is praying and then seeing the opportunity. And one of the things that I believe comes from that is when you do that prayer thing, whether you're a Christian or anybody that believes in a higher power, and you give it up to that higher power, what that's doing is that's taking that stressed but not worried.
Yeah.
And in that gap of stress and worry, now I can look up and see opportunity that is right there in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
That right there, folks, is what's really happening for you. And I'm a firm believer in that because, I can't remember any of those great stories about, where were you, Lord? And what's the one on the beach? There was two sets of tracks, and then there's only one. Where were you? And it's like I was carrying you, dumbass. And, God talks to me that way. Yeah, I was carrying you, dumbass.
Exactly.
So that's what I think. And I'll pause there and let you throw something out there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, I'll get that real quick. Just it goes back to, I think I've talked about it on the show before, but it's like there's a real effect there of like the Protestant work ethic. If you look at like Europe after the schism with Catholicism and Protestant, it's like you see GDP in the Protestant countries do well, and it's like, oh, because God chose it. It's like, well, no, that's probably not the answer there. What's really going on? And it's like, oh, the Catholics at the time were very about predestination, and it's like, well, if I can't change, then why would I put in the work to change? Whereas the Protestants, when it's like you can build your way to heaven, and just that idea of it's like you said, Dad, you're looking for the opportunities, so you're able to actually take the action, because of the self-fulfilling prophecy with that. Yeah, I love it. And that's what I would say, look up the study on it, but folks, look up just the Freakonomics on it, because Stephen Dubner does a great job, and it's about 20 minutes. So you can get the real quick answer on it, but it's a fascinating thing. You know, believing that you can actually make an impact helps you make that impact.
100%. And Otis, you said something, you know, about, you know, you get on your knees and pray and then hoping something happens. And I learned something back during Robin Sage, and it stuck with me throughout my entire Special Forces career. Master Sergeant Clark, he was a 10th group guy. And I remember him saying this, and hope is not a plan. You know, because he would ask you to brief. Well, I hope this. I was like, hope is not a plan. Go back and redo your plan. And so I've taken that as well, you know, into this entrepreneur. But I think you're right. When you're so worried that your head is down, you can't see the forest because of the trees. And so, and you're able to find those opportunities, or those opportunities find you. And so, just like how we met Otis, I was up in Denver at this networking event, and you need to meet Otis. Oh, what's up, Otis? And then here we are right now. So it's funny how things work out.
Well, I want to dive into another thing that's almost as deep as religion, and that's the quiet professional. Now we're separated by probably 15 years in time and service, you know, and when we served and those sort of things. You know, when I got out, there was this aura of being a quiet professional, just staying under the radar sort of thing. Nowadays, it's not quite as prominent. You know, we still make fun of our brothers in the SEALs because, you know,
of course.
Yeah, yes. They're still. Matter of fact, I gave those of you who know Jason Redmond. I met him last week, and I was giving him a hard time. So no slack. If you want slack, cut the rope. Right, ring the bell, as the SEALs will say. But what is that like now in our culture? In the whole quiet professional, because I can tell you, I was literally concerned about PNG, and persona non grata. That's your French lesson for the day, folks, or maybe Latin. It's a foreign language. We'll just say that, and that means you're kicked out and you can't. We're not talking to you. It's like being excommunicated is what PNG means. So
you know, this is something, especially as an entrepreneur, like I really thought hard about, because. You know, there are Green Berets that are entrepreneurs that have gotten PNG, and they've gotten, man, you go to the SF Facebook groups and they crush them. And so, and up to this point, I didn't do any advertising of who I was or what my career was. But now that I'm pivoting out, like, a lot of people come and train with us because we're a bunch of Green Berets and we have expertise and we know how to teach and all this other stuff. So for me personally, as a quiet professional, and I've seen this in it doesn't mean silent professional, but for me personally, is that if I'm going to put myself out there and say, hey, I am a retired Green Beret, this is my resume, come train with us and let us help you. I have to represent the regiment well, even after I get out. That is, as a business owner, especially in my industry where we're teaching people how to defend themselves. It is absolutely one of the most important things to me is that I represent the U.S. Army Special Forces Regiment well, even if I'm out and retired. I care about what you think about me, Otis. I care about what my old teammates think of me. And when I talk to guys at 10th group, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, I have been absolutely appreciative because, man, their support has been for what we're doing has been awesome, and it's just encouraging, right? But that quiet professional is me not saying, hi, I'm Marc Fitzwater, I'm a Green Beret, I'm going to look at all the great stuff I did. No, that's not my personality anyway. But it is like, hey, I have this skill set that I want to help you with. It's about serving, not being served, I think, at least for me as a quiet professional. But to go back to, I just want to, in this, represent the Special Forces Regiment as best I can. Is like, oh, that's what a Green Beret is. I'll say one more thing, and I have one of the reasons we're staying in Colorado is I've had a great friendships with civilians. I've never had that before, because you move, all that stuff. And the best compliment I have ever gotten, they're like, Mark, other than your tattoos, I would not think you were in the military at all. I'm like, that's exactly what we want. So, that's kind of my thoughts on be quiet professional, especially in that entrepreneurship arena.
There's an interesting piece I'd love to kind of drill in a bit, Mark. You were talking about it of it's like caring what those people think. And that's something that, generally speaking, we talk about. It's like, well, don't care what people think. Be confident in yourself, be confident in your purpose, those kind of things there. Now, to be fair, the folks you're talking about there, I'm guessing they check a few boxes as far as your respect level for them. And that's part of the reason you're open that kind of scrutiny. But I think there's an interesting piece there because we tend to block that off completely in favor of self-confidence. And you kind of touched on both there. Could you talk about that a little bit? Yeah, no,
so there are a few people I care about what they think about me and what I think about them. And as I just spoke about, yes, the people in the SF regiment, even if I don't know you, if you're, as we would say, if you're a good dude, yes, I want to be like, oh yeah, I know Fitz and he's doing a good thing. But also at the same time, there's, excuse my language, there's assholes in the Special Forces Regiment too. And so managing and balancing that, what I care about, what my brothers think of me will always be a high priority. But also at the same time, and I would say even more importantly, is the impact we're having on our students, on our community, that positive impact. That's extremely important to me. And so if we're continuing to do that, and then there's a guy over here that's, not liking what we're doing. Oh, Mark, you're not being a quiet professional. Okay. I'm trying. But the impact we're having on the people on our area, and the way we're scaling the business, that's what's really important to me. And thus far, I think we're doing it right based off the feedback we're getting, from our clients, but also from my brothers as well. Because Otis, if I'm messing up, I guarantee I'm going to get a phone call from you like, bro, what are you doing? So, and if you don't, that's what I'd be a little disappointed in you. But so balancing that, yes. Do I not care what people think? Yeah, a little bit, but I also care what people think as well, because we want to make that impact in people's lives.
What would be your advice for somebody to tease that out? Because what I'm getting to is like, even you talking there, and of course, very different when you hear people tell stories, you see yourself in the different stories. I'm thinking, okay, I can kind of see that similar thing with like my rugby community and all that. And if it's like at the same time, it's like, it's definitely not at the same level. But what I'm getting to there is there's this really nice way of, like I was saying, those guys all check those boxes. And you're like, okay, well, I can trust Otis's opinion. I can trust Mark's opinion. I can do that. What's your advice to somebody who maybe in the civilian space doesn't have a background with anything like that? And it's like, okay, how do I tell whose opinion I, give value to?
Well, I think what are your priorities? And then, as a business owner, and like there's always somebody's opinion you care about. It doesn't matter if you're a Green Beret or civilian or just a regular person. Like it's your mom, your spouse, your kids, your pastor, whoever is there's always, and if you don't have that person, go seek that person out. That friend, that 3 a.m. friend, that will tell you how it is. And so, because, and I learned this in SF, and I'll take this to the civilian side. Like I always told my leadership, I was like, hey, I'm going to go. And if I'm messing up, all you have to do is correct me and I'll continue to go. So, whether it's your leadership or the people you surround yourself with, like if you're going to go do something great, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know if you're messing up unless somebody tells you, is the way I look at it. So having that person or those people that can help, put you back on azimuth as you go down a path, I think is highly important. Not just success in business, but I think really the success in life, as a parent, as a spouse, whatever your priorities are. I think having those sounding boards that you can, talk to them and they give you actual real feedback without sugarcoating it, and be willing to take accountability is another thing about that. Oh man, I did mess up, so let me correct myself and then continue moving.
Well, it's the, I think what it really boils down to is the understanding and affirmation of your personal values, and then it's, if you're truly sound in your values, you attract and repel people with similar values, and then the next step, really that's not a step, the attract and repel, it happens. The next step is what you mentioned earlier. It's being willing to raise your hand and say, I ain't the smartest dude here. We all did that in the unit. You'd go across the hallway and talk to another team sergeant who may be senior, or down the hall as a sergeant major, and I'd do the same thing. I'd call up my buddy Flick or hell, Ed, any of these guys that, I know, liked, and trust. And I'd say, dude, man, you wouldn't believe this shit that I just got from the boss. What do you think? Because I can also say the times I didn't make that phone call, times I got my ass chewed, because I went off. And I think as you do that in the business world, it's not as definitive, but it's still there. Have you felt any gaps in that sense, as you move closer to truly taking the uniform off and truly just being singular focused on the business?
Yeah, it was funny. It actually happened last night. Is 10th Group has treated me so well, especially during this retirement transition. They've left me alone. So I really have been able to focus building the foundation to launch. But getting ready to really take the uniform off I didn't think it would affect me as much as it is. It really is. Because I was telling my wife, Holly, I was like, man, for 23 years, it's all I've done. And, even with all this side stuff going, I can always fall back to this. But at the same time, I'm excited and yet terrified at the very same time. I've had a great career. And so it's now for the young guys to go and fight America's enemies. But we can still have impact, and I'm excited for this next challenge. I'm very, very blessed to have this for myself because, one, it keeps me mentally engaged. But I will say, you got to perform, and that's where that stress comes in. We were talking about earlier. I'm stressed to ensure that I can perform at all times because I have to, because now it's my business. That's kind of where I'm at on that right now. As I transition at the end of the month. Let's go. It's time, full bore. This is what we're doing. And I've been blessed to have my wife in my corner. And the business mentors that we have, that I've had over the last years, they've been there for me with a bunch of 3 a.m. friends there. but the gap, I don't think there is one right now because this is what I've been doing for the last year, retiring in this. And so I'm ready to, hang it up, but yet continue on with this mission.
I was debating on asking this question for a while because it's a different conversation here. And Dad, I was kind of joking to myself that this might be a good one to bring up with the Steel Mint Tribe one day, because kind of talking about, because I think there is a more masculine perspective that we have on this kind of thing. But talking about values, being aligned on values, and those kind of things there. What also comes to mind is this kind of joke, but I think it's very true, is that we as men also a lot of the time don't connect with our closest friends on a bunch of things like that. That it's we might share these core values of respect or whatever it is, but it's dude, I know who Mark voted for. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So he thinks Bigfoot's real. You could go any, and that was a specific joke, Dad. You got it. You could take that all sorts of different directions.
I believe that you believe, Adrian.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Mr. Roy. But no, there's this kind of funny thing there where it's we tend to do really well ignoring the unimportant, or what you would call unimportant, and in favor of the mission, working together, that kind of thing there. But at the same time, those are still beliefs and values which we're told we need to be aligned on. So I know it's very broad there, but Mark, I want to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on kind of balancing those two ideas there?
So just to understand the question, the emotional side of men versus the hardcore side of men, how do you balance that? Is that what you're talking about?
More so it's when you talk about being aligned on values and how important that is, especially starting a business. You want to be aligned on values with that. But then there's these values that are actually important, and there's these values that are more they feel real. I use the political as the example or something like that, where it's it's not really that important, but at the same time, we're supposed to be aligned on values. What's your thought there?
Yeah. So there are core values that are non-negotiables, with everybody, I think. And so those core values, and for anybody, for anybody, it just depends. For me, dependability, being able to rely on somebody else because I feel that I'm dependable, which, sounds transactional, but those are your 3 a.m. friends, I think. And if you're going to be a 3 a.m. friend as well. But I think it depends on the situation, because if, I can have a friend that I will use that I disagree politically with, but he or she is a good person that we have other values that align. That's okay. Because I would honestly think if everybody had the exact same values, it'd be kind of boring anyway, right? What would you talk about? But I think balancing that, I'll use faith as the example. I am a Christian. I love Jesus. Everybody knows. I love Jesus. It's out now. It's out there publicly. But if I have a friend that doesn't, is that a showstopper for me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I68 stands for Isaiah 6:8. I don't ask my instructors, hey, do you love Jesus? No. I ask my instructors, hey, are you professional? Are you an expert at what you do? Can you connect with our clients? Mm-hmm. And that's why I care professionally with them. And guess what? We're still great friends. And so I think grace is always needed, especially if you have some values that somebody else doesn't align with. And that's okay. And I think that's kind of a big part. I think, kind of going even broader. Sorry, Cam, but I think that's what.
No, we're good.
I think a lot of issues in our country is right now. There's not a lot of grace given. And so with that said, well, you don't believe what I believe, well, then screw you. Well, no, come on, man. And so that's kind of where I stand on the values. I have my values. Cam, you have your values. I would probably assume they're pretty close to Otis's. If they're not, don't say it publicly. But no. But with that said, is my values are my values. Your values are your values. We don't have to completely align to be friends, to work together. We can still have a beer. Usually, a lot of times, the values don't align over beers when you actually work those out. So. Mm-hmm.
That's great, and that's a great subject segue into what I wanted to dive into. Is one of the things that we take for granted in the military is you're given the team. Uncle Sam assigns you, if you will. Very rare. I mean, even when I talk about my team with Uncle Billy, we handpicked a lot of the guys, but we still got some guys that were assigned to us. So when you step away, Sergeant Major no longer has an OML of team sergeants and foxes and blah, and we can go down the list of metaphors in that reference in ODA. How do you see building a team that you're not assigned to build?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's funny. I'm in the Colorado Springs area, so I have a good repository of instructors when they're ready to get out, or if they want side work or whatnot. And usually, I'm at a Green Beret, like, hey, Otis, you want a side job? But usually when we do the interview process, it's me pitching them of, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the values that is our company policy. Here are the values that we're going to do. I'll give you an example. Cam, you want to come and train with us? You want to come train with Green Berets? Whether it's true or not, you expect us to be the most professional instructors that you've ever trained with. I think so. I think we are. So, for example, hey, you will not curse in front of any client. We will be professional in all ways. But with that, so I pitch them, and then we just kind of see if it's a good fit. They come out and they assistant instructor class, and if it fits with us, then we kind of bring them on. So I'm really lucky that I get to pick my own team, right? And if they come on, great, they can help me build a great company. Or and I kind of talked about it in the beginning, is like my why for the company has changed over the years, and internally, my why for the company is to be there for when SF guys get out and they don't know what to do with their hands. And Otis, you've seen it quite a bit. Sometimes it could be catastrophic. And so with that said, they could come, they get to work with a bunch of other SF dudes training. They get to shoot free ammo. Who doesn't want to shoot free ammo until they either figure out what they want to do with their lives or they stay with the company. And so, I kind of like that, being able to build my own team versus who's this guy? What's this guy's reputation? You get a new guy, you start calling all his old teammates. Is this guy any good or not? Mm-hmm. And so I'm very lucky that I'm able to do that with the company.
Talk us through the changing your why, changing the purpose of I68.
Yeah. So, as we talked before, I started the company to help me keep my skills up before I went back on the team. And I didn't change my why. People changed my why. And so as we started running more classes, over the last 8 years, over 70% of our graduates have been women, which has been very surprising to me. And then, hearing these women's stories like, hey, they were almost a victim or they were victimized in some way. And what our training did and how we trained really empowered them to walk around with confidence. I know that I can walk around and protect myself and my loved ones. And so as we were getting, more people were knowing about us, our whys changed. We're not a defensive shooting company. We're an empowerment company. Our job is to empower you to walk around with more confidence and have the capability of protecting yourself or your one-on-one. So 70% are women. And that's why we started the I68 Valkyries. My wife told me I need to do something for the women, so we did that. And so we do women's only shooting events. In June, we're having a women's only shooting competition. And then the guys are the real serious guys that want to train to be the most high-end protectors, right? I make the joke they want to shoot like SF guys. And so we had to start something just for the guys. So we started the Aries, the I68 Aries, the God of War. But it's more about fellowship and building that community. So it went from, I just need to keep up with my skills, to we're having some good impact, to now we're building a community of people, the I68 family. We're building that I68 family where we're doing more events, competitions, family events. People are seeing each other. Oh yeah, I trained with Sam. Oh, I trained with Mark. So they're recognizing each other, and it's always a kind of our external why. And then of course with the internal why, as we have guys, I can't teach every course. So as we're having guys come in and helping out, on the side, well, they're buying into what we're doing, and they're telling their teammates about it. Because I don't know a whole lot of 10th Group guys. I was a 4th Battalion guy. So unless you were in 4th Battalion or a JTAC, I don't know the guys in the other battalions. So they're coming, and we're doing that whole process again. So that's how it's kind of shifted from back in 2016 to 2025.
Awesome. I love that openness to shift it in that way too, because so many folks will, because you hear that's a foot stomper, right? Is know your why, and so many folks will get lockstepped into it that they'll continue to force that square peg into the round hole, and struggle and wonder why things ain't going the way they want. So that's
I think it goes with kind of what we talked about earlier. Just you got to keep your eyes up,
Oh yeah, and in keeping my eyes up,
not too far up.
No, that's right. I learned my lessons, which was my segue into it, because I love the phrase "stressed but not worried." That is, when Miss Suzanne listens to this podcast, she's gonna go, "Oh, okay." Because there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of worry with Miss Suzanne. We ain't going to talk about too much more. However, that for me is what I learned. I'm going to emphasize that probably a couple more times before I'm done, and say that you can be stressed and not worried, folks, because there's a lot going on in there, and there's a lot of ways to maintain that. So, Cam, how about you, man? What'd you learn?
Yeah, I'd actually really double dip it on that, because I'm going to take it also with the Jason Criddle piece that I referenced there. If I can be stressed and angry as long as I'm not worried and negative. And I think, all jokes aside about that, there's a lot of depth to both of those phrases, and it's, very surface level. It's sound like the same thing. That's why we have to have a conversation about it. But once you tease out those details, I think it can give you that path forward to where you can still have that fire of that anger, like how Jason put it, still have that, what's the phrase, work beats worry, right? Where it's I feel anxious, so I go to work. It's the kind of thing. And there's aspects there that are very true, without falling completely into that negative spiral of being the jerk who goes for 40 years, builds a great business, and goes, oh wait, I don't talk to my kids. There is a happy medium there, and I think those two phrases help define that a little bit.
Mark, how about you, man? What'd you learn?
So I definitely learned when we kind of talked about balancing, as Cam mentioned, balancing the values piece, and then I haven't learned it yet, but when you talked about that gap between going from the military, retiring into there, it's motivated me to sit down and think about what that really means. I don't think my answer to you was very good on that, to be honest. So I owe you a better answer on that. And so understanding, that balance is what, like you just said, Kim, is highly important. And then lastly, to make sure you use fishing line to hang your model airplanes.
Yeah, you going to hang some up in the shop down there? I mean, that's
just for you, sir. Just for you.
All right, that's cool. Awesome. Hey, Fitz, how do folks find you, follow you, learn more about I68?
Yes, sir. So if you can go on Facebook and Instagram, I68 Consulting Group. Website is I68consultinggroup.com. You can shoot me an email, Marc, MARC, at I68consulting.com. We Our first big event is coming up June 21st. It's for the ladies. It's our second annual I68 Valkyries women's only pistol competition. So if you listen to this and you want to sponsor, shoot me an email. And this competition is made for people that don't compete. It's about to have fun. Top prize is going to be a shotgun. I've already purchased it, ready to rock and roll. Another big event we do is our Hounds and Hollow Points fundraiser, which is our pistol competition and that benefits Victory Service Dogs here in Colorado Springs. And so, that is really it. And thanks again, guys. This has been great.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you for carving some time out of your day to hang out with us.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, and your show is doing absolutely great. And so, it's been an honor to be here, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Camden, run us out.
All right. Thank you all for listening to today's episode of 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. And a special thanks to our guest, Marc Fitzwater, for joining us today. Remember, you can watch full episodes of the show on YouTube at 10X Your Team. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to pass along to other lifelong learners in your tribe so they can enjoy it too. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As always, that full archive of episodes available at www.10xyourteam.net. Thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.